Devastating news from the Superman world. Lim Dae-in has finally eliminated all zombies within a 100-kilometer radius, becoming the strongest Superman. But after drinking too much at the guild's victory celebration, he woke up to find himself back in his rental apartment from 20 years ago. So the trillion-dollar fortune he'd accumulated from 20 years of monster fighting was gone, along with the dozen skyscrapers he'd built in the city center. His millions of female fans and the adopted cat-eared beastkin girls were gone too. But one wristwatch had somehow followed him back from the future. He remembered this was the watch the guildmaster had given him at the victory banquet, a relic from Byron Continent's legendary wizard. Could it be that I traveled back in time through this watch's magic? Could my return be part of some conspiracy? Just then, the landlord's son came to collect rent. Lim Dae-in remembered that in his previous life, the landlord's son constantly stole his cigarettes and money. And today he was reaching for Lim Dae-in's watch again. Lim Dae-in lightly touched his belly, and the spicy noodles the landlord's son had eaten yesterday surged up from his intestines to his throat. Lim Dae-in grabbed his mouth and slammed him against the wall, sending the spicy noodles back down to his stomach. Lim Dae-in then grabbed his face and asked, "Are the spicy noodles hot enough? I wish you smooth digestion." He gave the landlord's son a knee strike. Sure enough, the landlord's son lifted his rear, and the stench of spicy noodles smoothly expelled from his body. Then he happily fell asleep on the floor. Afterward, Lim Dae-in picked up his luggage and walked onto the street. He thought, "I'm the strongest Superman who controlled magic for 20 years. Making some pocket money for a comfortable life in this era shouldn't be difficult." The only downside was this body was too weak to handle his own magical power. Sure enough, this body got hungry at the drop of a hat. Should I go back and rob some meal money from the landlord's son? But just then, a spatial rift suddenly appeared in the street. A crimson-spotted hound burst into the human city. Not far away, 3 beasts had already surrounded a little girl. Lim Dae-in rushed forward, shielded the little girl behind him and said to her, "Little girl, go find your daddy quickly." Then, he faced those wild dogs alone, defeating them with just a few moves. "I'm so hungry. If I remember correctly, their meat is quite delicious. Braised with carrots and potatoes, paired with red wine, absolutely exquisite." The wild dogs became frightened seeing Lim Dae-in's attacks, but they still opened their bloody mouths and charged forward. Lim Dae-in slid down to dodge the attack, using his lower body strength to kick it. Then he quickly leaped up, delivering a downward chop to the wild dog. Next, he used the watch as brass knuckles. After building up power, he punched toward the wild dog. What a surprise, this watch is incredibly hard. Just then, police sirens sounded. Lim Dae-in recognized this as the siren of the police special operations unit that dealt with monsters in the early days. At the same time, a police officer came to question Lim Dae-in. Lim Dae-in told him his name, since he had just awakened a few hours ago and hadn't registered with any Superman organization yet. The officer said since that was the case, they'd ask Mr. Lim to assist the police in dealing with the monsters first, then the police would help him with Superman registration. But Lim Dae-in turned and walked away saying, "I trust the police can handle these monsters, good luck." Meanwhile, all the Superman guilds received the news a newly awakened Superman had appeared, approximately 20 years old. Lim Dae-in was really hungry, so he ordered his beloved beef soup rice. He knew someone would definitely pay for this meal. Sure enough, his phone started ringing. He thought, these guilds really have incredible networks. He had only left a name and countless guilds had already found his phone number. Just during his meal, he received over 90 text messages and more than 100 missed calls. This was the early period of global transformation, when guilds were slowly rising to replace regular military and police forces. Whenever a new Superman appeared, guilds would compete fiercely to recruit them. After eating his fill, Lim Dae-in began contemplating how to live this life. Finally, he decided to use future knowledge and intelligence to rely on a guild to make money, then after working for exactly 3 years, enjoy a perfect retirement. Just then, a guild representative arrived. "Mr. Lim, I'm Kim Gil-soo, manager of the Royal Guild." "Mr. Lim, don't listen to his nonsense. Their guild doesn't even have a single superwoman. You won't even have anyone to date, Mr. Lim." "Bro, I'm from the Warrior Guild." Many more guilds arrived one after another, and Lim Dae-in's meal bill had long been paid by some guild. Lim Dae-in finally spoke, "Everyone quiet. If anyone says another word, I'll pass on their guild. I'm not full yet. Let's move to a quiet restaurant to talk." Finally, Lim Dae-in got to eat dessert as he wished. Savoring the sweetness on his tongue, he asked, "How much signing bonus can you offer?" "Mr. Lim, contract terms are confidential. How about we talk privately?" "You're from the Royal Guild, right? Don't let the door hit you on the way out." "Yes, Mr. Lim, I represent the super powerful Royal Guild." "What? Yes. Don't let the door hit you on the way out." "What about you guys? How much can you offer?" Someone bid 1 billion. Someone shouted 1.2 billion. 2 billion. We offer 2 billion. "Mr. Lim, no guild will offer more than our White House Guild." Lim Dae-in knew, of course, that White House Guild would become one of the 3 major guilds in Country A in 10 years. So he kept only Baek Yong-hui from White House Guild and said, "If you want to sign me, you must meet my 3 conditions. Work only 4 days a week, not 1 day more. Guarantee on-time departure. Absolutely no overtime. Refuse long-term assignments, no business trips." Baek Yong-hui got so angry she couldn't control her facial expression. But Lim Dae-in's gaze was firm and uncompromising. Baek Yong-hui angrily stood up, but immediately showed flexibility, smiling broadly. "I'll go back to revise the contract and meet you again. Next time, let's not meet at a dessert shop, let's go have a drink." Lim Dae-in thought. I absolutely cannot get too involved with this woman. Others might not know, but I know she's the guild master's daughter. After eating and drinking his fill, Lim Dae-in went to the disaster management headquarters to certify his Superman identity. The staff asked what his trait was. He said he had no trait, just physical enhancement. This period didn't have magic power testing yet, and traits were manifested through magic power, only becoming known when displayed, so he decided to hide his traits. But just the physical strength he demonstrated, easily lifting a half-ton barbell with one hand, stunned the young lady. She had never seen a Superman with such physical strength. When Lim Dae-in finished registration and walked out of the room, he encountered someone he didn't want to see. It was Ju-sang UK from the Superman Cooperation Group, currently the team leader managing Superman registration. Lim Dae-in quickly left. Getting involved with this guy never brought anything good. He would never come here again. But Ju-sang UK turned back. Oh ho, this person seems quite interesting. Later, Lim Dae-in came to the contaminated restricted area. He knew that in 1 year, Earth would have dimensional portals appear, connecting to the fantasy world of swords and magic, Gaia continent. And Country A's only portal would appear in the restricted area. Lim Dae-in was elated. Once I get the signing bonus, I'll buy this land, and just by collecting portal tolls, I can become the world's richest man. But suddenly he heard arguing, and even stranger, the voices were speaking in Gaia continent's language. So Lim Dae-in activated his stealth trait and headed toward the sound. In his previous life, he had used this trait for reconnaissance, espionage, and assassination missions. But in this life, he really didn't want to work. Finally, Lim Dae-in saw 3 thugs surrounding a red-haired girl. The girl shouted in Gaia language, "You're forcing me to do this!" Then she summoned a fireball, but she seemed to lack physical energy, and the next moment, the flame instantly extinguished. The lead thug grabbed for the girl. "You little girl can use superpowers too? Although I can't understand what you're saying, you'll definitely sell for a good price." Lim Dae-in recognized the tattoos on their bodies. Those were the symbols of the criminal organization Crimson Snake. These scumbags would do all kinds of evil in the future. Lim Dae-in made his move, quickly defeating all the thugs, while the little girl trembled nearby. "You're from Gaia continent, right? You can speak our language?" The little girl's stomach suddenly started growling. Lim Dae-in seriously asked her, "Do you like eating meat?" To Lim Dae-in's amazement, the little girl devoured the 5-person serving of grilled meat he bought. Regarding why she came to Earth, and how many people had come from Gaia continent to Earth, the little girl knew nothing. Moreover, she could currently use fire, but wasn't skilled at it, didn't understand Earth's language either, and had no survival skills whatsoever. Lim Dae-in said, "Then stay with me for a month, I'll teach you language and how to use your abilities. But you have to work for me. Go. Wash the dishes first." "I'm Lily, thank you for taking care of me." But Lim Dae-in became uneasy. Could she be the monster who would destroy a city in 10 years? The Fire Witch Lily, one of Gaia continent's 6 great disasters, with red hair and fire control abilities? It said the Fire Witch was kidnapped by a criminal organization as a child, harbored hatred, and eventually caused catastrophe. Did I prevent a future disaster? Seeing Lily's torn clothes, Lim Dae-in let her pick out clothes. Lily happily chose a dress. But ultimately, Lim Dae-in bought Lily red sportswear, and bought 2 sets for her to alternate wearing. "Kid, I don't have a house right now, living in ruins, you'll wear this for now." At night, Lim Dae-in brought out his dark cuisine. After monsters started appearing in this world, food became scarce, and markets began selling monster meat. People at this time didn't know these ingredients were nutritious meals containing magic power. But Lily just kept gnawing on fried chicken. Then Lim Dae-in got angry. "I worked hard to make you a nutritious meal, and you dare to be picky. This food might not taste as good as fried chicken, but it can't be that bad, right?" Then he took a spoonful of dark cuisine into his mouth. The next moment, he was nearly moved to death by how terrible his own cooking was. In the end, both of them felt like they'd lost half their lives after finishing the meal. "Kid, be grateful to the person who cooks for you, understand?" But that night, while meditating, Lim Dae-in was pleasantly surprised to discover that because his body was young and he'd eaten the nutritious meal, his internal spiritual sea was growing like it was free. Coincidentally, nutritious meals were cheap in this era. It was like he'd activated a major cheat. The next day, Lim Dae-in called to Lily, "Time to eat, cheat meal." The two nearly died from the terrible taste again. Finally, Baek Yong-hui called, but when discussing the contract, she was evasive. But Lim Dae-in directly called her out. "What? Reluctant to sign? Want to test my abilities?" Baek Yong-hui nervously explained. But Lim Dae-in said, "I accept the test, but I have an additional condition. If I pass the test, my signing bonus doubles." At White House Guild, Lim Dae-in was greeted by Guild representative Baek Chang-soo. Baek Chang-soo released his aura. "Double violation penalty? Are you really worth that much money?" Lim Dae-in's expression became serious. This person probably didn't know martial arts or magic, but just with magic power alone, he could have such strong pressure. He really was a monster. But I, Lim Dae-in, am no ordinary Superman either. Then, he released his own aura. "Let's see if I'm worth that much money." Baek Chang-soo was equally shocked. He immediately said to Baek Yong-hui to draft a contract. "If you pass the test, your signing bonus triples. Additionally, if you pass all tests, our guild will pay you an extra 20 billion signing bonus." Lim Dae-in's heart was racing. Triple? That's 6 billion plus 20 billion equals 26 billion. Is this White House Guild a bank or something? Baek Chang-soo announced, "Test rules. Spar with 3 White House Guild members. Winning 2 matches counts as passing. Winning 3 matches gets you the extra 20 billion. The first sparring partner was White House Guild's first team member, Hwan Jang-yuk. When Baek Young-hui asked what weapon Lim Dae-in would choose, he said, "I don't need weapons, this watch is enough." Hwan Jang-yuk's lungs nearly exploded with anger. A newly awakened rookie wanting to use a watch against me, how arrogant. Kid, I'll beat you to a pulp. What's wrong with him? Did he get dumped? What insult did he suffer? Why are adults so emotionally unstable? Hwan Jang-yuk charged at Lim Dae-in. But Lim Dae-in had future memories of Hwan Jang-yuk. His trait was acceleration. As long as he kept moving, his speed would get faster and faster, so he needed to win with one strike while he could still track his movements. At this moment, Hwan Jang-yuk had already become a blurred afterimage. Baek Young-hui's expression became serious. Hwan Jang-yuk went all out from the start. Looks like he's serious. If he spins a bit more, our naked eyes won't be able to catch his figure. But Hwan Jang-yuk got impatient, eager to quickly defeat this newly awakened rookie. He felt his current speed was already enough to defeat this arrogant guy in front of him. Lim Dae-in thought, too bad, I wanted to see your ultimate speed. He struck Hwan Jang-yuk's nose bridge with his watch. Sorry, you only get one chance to attack. If you were 3 times faster, I really wouldn't be sure I could hit you. First round, Lim Dae-in wins. Baek Chang-soo came over to congratulate and said, "Thanks for holding back, brother. I estimate Hwan Jang-yuk will wake up after a few days of treatment." Lim Dae-in became serious again. If I hadn't controlled my strength, Hwan Jang-yuk's head would have been knocked off by me. The second round test took place at White House Guild's artificial forest training ground. This time, the opponent was the captain of First Team's 6th squad, tank-type Superman, Young Dae-hun. The test began. Lim Dae-in actually took the initiative to attack. This time his weapon was still that hard watch, but the opponent's shield was equally hard. Young Dae-hun slashed with his sword, cutting off a few strands of Lim Dae-in's hair. His eyes were calm and steady, but Lim Dae-in had somehow moved behind Young Dae-hun, hooking his fingers. Eagle Claw! Young Dae-hun blocked with his shield. His eyes became serious for the first time. Did he learn martial arts before awakening? Iron Mountain Lean. Then Lim Dae-in sent Young Dae-hun flying dozens of meters, but he still managed to stand up. Looking at Young Dae-hun, who stood up again, he thought, damn, this guy's endurance is incredible. Originally I wanted to hide my strength and end this quickly. That cunning Baek Chang-soo seems to want me to reveal all my trump cards. You're not bad, kid. I'll apply for you to join my squad, become my team member. Just based on your word? But Young Dae-hun said this was White House Guild's default rule. When there's disagreement, the winner decides. Baek Chang-soo nodded in agreement. In that case, if I win, let me be the captain. Fine, but if you lose, signing bonus halved, contract duration doubled. Lim Dae-in said no problem. Then he posed a soul-searching question to Young Dae-hun. You like Baek Young-hui, don't you? You think Miss Baek is interested in me, so you want to defeat me in this spar to win back some of her affection, right? Lim Dae-in, of course, knew that in the future, Young Dae-hun would do ridiculous things because of unrequited love, eventually getting kicked out of White House Guild. Also, I suggest you organize your room when you have time. It turned out Young Dae-hun had hung photos of Miss Baek that he'd secretly taken all over his room. Shut your mouth. The 3 observers were confused, not knowing what they were talking about in the arena. Then Young Dae-hun was so ashamed he went berserk. Lim Dae-in thought, he's finally angry. Once he loses his reason, he'll enter bull mode, relying on massive magic power to enhance his physical abilities. Sure enough, Young Dae-hun charged like a mad bull. Lim Dae-in infused his magic power into the wristwatch. He understood that once Young Dae-hun lost his reason, he only had brute force. He didn't know how to use weapons, much less how to use his shield to block attacks. Lim Dae-in punched the lovelorn man. Lightning fist. Second round, still Lim Dae-in's victory. But he was also completely exhausted, squatting on the ground. This body was indeed too weak. Using lightning palm just once nearly drained all his strength. Baek Young-hui came to congratulate him. Representative Baek says you performed excellently, giving you 10 billion as a special reward. First, win the next match. And the 20 billion is yours. Lim Dae-in forced himself to stand up, thinking, in that case, I'll challenge one more match. But Baek Chang-soo's honest. Yet cunning laughter rang out. Good, young man. I'll personally take the field for the next match. Lim Dae-in thought, damn. This old man insists on forcing out all my techniques. I give up the third test. Young man, reconsider. Mr. Lim, just hold out for 5 minutes and I'll give you 20 billion. No, just hold out for 3 minutes and I'll give you 30 billion. Take your hands off me, I refuse. Finally, White House Guild signed Lim Dae-in at the historic high price of 10 billion. And he became the first captain in history to form a team right upon signing. Can I personally recruit team members? Of course. But can you find Supermans who haven't joined any guild yet and have superior abilities? There's one right in front of me. The first team member I want to sign is called Lily. Lily, quickly show sister your fire breathing. No, I'm hungry. How about 3 fried chicken? Then Lily shouted, "Wah! 3 fried chicken!" She unleashed a pillar of fire that nearly burned through the rooftop. Amazing. So your sister is also a Superman. Lim Dae-in thought, Lily truly deserves to be a future disaster figure. I only taught her for a few days and she can control such a massive fire display. Miss Baek, let's discuss Lily's signing bonus. The minimum can't be less than 3 billion. What are you talking about? Where's the fried chicken? Kid, go play over there first, bro is fighting for your lifetime supply of chicken legs. Finally, Lily signed with White House Guild's 7th squad for 5 billion. From then on, she reached the peak of life, achieving fried chicken freedom. Right after signing, Baek Chang-soo came over. Captain Lim, terribly sorry, there's a major mission. All squads have already arrived at the scene. You think it's appropriate for me to go on a mission on my first day of work? Actually, I also think it's quite regrettable. I especially came wanting to spar with Captain Lim. But the combat control room issued a mission. Stop being fake. Where's the mission location? I'll go now. Arriving at the mission site, Lim Dae-in found other Superman squads covered in slime, all collapsing and screaming, "Mommy, I never want to be a Superman again. Just kill me now." There was a smell here mixing stinky tofu, herring cans, and fermented seabird. "Uncle, this thing smells even worse than your dark cuisine." The monsters to be cleared today were giant stink snails. They were very weak, but once they felt attacked, they would self-destruct. Then the exploded juice was incredibly foul-smelling, taking 10 years to dissipate. Dying, can't breathe. Uncle, save me." So Lim Dae-in said, "Try using magic power to block your sense of smell. This kind of precise magic control is very difficult. You're so young, it's hard on you." But the next second, Lily had blocked her sense of smell. "Uncle, it really works. I can't smell the stench." Lim Dae-in had a row of black lines on his forehead. This kid really is naturally gifted. I haven't even started teaching. Truly worthy of becoming a disaster-level witch in the future. Lim Dae-in's mission was to bring back stink snail samples to the guild for research. Other guild Supermans at the scene should have received the same mission, but they couldn't catch a single intact snail, only vomiting while scooping up some slime to hand in. But Lim Dae-in moved. He knew dealing with snails required making them die or faint unconsciously. He kicked a tree trunk. A snail on the tree was shaken down. Then Lim Dae-in waved his palm, like doing elderly square dancing. He shouted at the snail, "Tai Chi palm." The snail floated and swayed like a falling leaf, then spun 35,000 degrees in place, like a gentle mother taking it to play on a carousel at an amusement park. Finally, the snail peacefully fell asleep, completing its childhood happiness, no longer holding grudges against its original family. "Uncle, how did you do that? Teach me." "Want to learn? Pay 10 billion first." "Uncle, you're not a good person." Others' missions were like bathing in a cesspit. Lim Dae-in's mission was like taking a vacation. He was about to return and submit his results when other Supermans blocked him. The leader was Blackhound Guild's 5th Squad Captain Jang Soo-kyun. Lim Dae-in got angry just seeing him. In his previous life, this person had been Lim Dae-in's boss. Lim Dae-in knew his shamelessness. Sure enough, Jang Soo-kyun threatened Lim Dae-in to leave the snail sample behind. Lim Dae-in knew if he didn't give it, he would use the dirty trick of turning the snail sample into liquid. Then, Lim Dae-in actually threw the sample on the ground saying, "Come get it, baby." Then he sat on the bag saying, "As long as you have the ability to take it." He had already thought of over 30 ways to teach the opposition how to be human again. Jang Soo-kyun got angry, releasing his aura and preparing to attack. Lim Dae-in whispered to Lily, "When I give the signal, burn everything around us." At this moment, Lily's eyes flashed with viciousness. "How about I burn them all to death?" At this time, her eyes no longer held innocence, didn't even seem human. This startled Lim Dae-in. I really raised a huge menace. Then he said no killing would make things complicated. Just burn the surrounding things clean. At this moment, Jang Soo-kyun finally stepped forward, taking the deadly step. Just then, the space-time portal in the sky surged with energy. A huge green thing slowly slid out. After landing, it turned out to be a giant snail bigger than a mountain. No matter how bad Jang Soo-kyun was, he was still a Superman. At this moment, he abandoned his grudge with Lim Dae-in and led his people charging toward the snail. Lim Dae-in picked up the sample, took Lily, and turned to leave, very leisurely. The Supermans in the battlefield were shocked to discover this giant snail couldn't be cut. They were beaten by the snail's tentacles until they cried for their parents. Lim Dae-in put the sample in the car trunk. The radio transmitted Miss Baek's voice. "Captain Lim, you need to go fight. Only after this giant snail dies can you claim ownership of the spoils of war. Don't worry, those guys can't defeat that monster." While others were struggling desperately, Lim Dae-in and Lily were chatting. "What do you want to eat later?" "I want fried chicken. It's really smelly and hard. This monster has no weaknesses." "Lily, have you tried spicy noodles? They're quite tasty too. Aren't spicy noodles only available in the distant east? Why are you retreating? Do you still count as a Superman?" "Nonsense. You're running faster than me. Then let's still have fried chicken later. How about it?" Facing the unsolvable snail, the Supermans could only keep retreating. Even their weapons were corroded into scrap metal by the snail's slime. Only one not-so-bright tank Superman charged toward the giant snail. He was Wang Guho from Blackhound Guild. His trait was turning his body to stone. His nickname in the squad was Dumbass. The captain told him to cover others' retreat, but after being caught by tentacles, no one looked back at him. Soon, he was about to be swallowed by the snail. Suddenly, a blade light struck, along with a deafening question, "You actually treat scumbags as comrades?" The tentacles that dozens of Supermans couldn't cut were severed by this blade light. That heroic figure stood in front of Wang Guho, like righteous light shining in his heart from then on. "Wang Guho, that's not how you use your trait. If you want to know how to use it, remember to find me later. Your ability should make you a god among Supermans." He was stunned. The person in front of him was simply the light of life, his life's beacon, a success mentor. "Set the fire, Lily." Okay, but was that person really a god among Supermans just now? That was my recruitment pitch. Then, the vacationing duo used fire to block people's sight and walked toward the giant snail. Lim Dae-in came from the future, familiar with all monsters' traits. The giant snail's weakness was temperature. Once the environment got too hot, its movements would become sluggish. Lim Dae-in cut off all its tentacles. Although the giant snail's tentacles could regenerate, they couldn't regenerate in fire. If all tentacles were severed, it would retract into its shell. Lim Dae-in took out a diamond drill. The giant snail's shell was incredibly hard. Only some regularly arranged points could be used for breakthrough. So, Lim Dae-in infused magic power and stabbed hard at these points. Finally, he stopped and thought, acupuncture complete. Then, he gathered his magic power. Now I'll give you a massage. Lightning fist. Instantly, blue magic light traveled through the snail's shell like lightning snakes. In a moment, the shell cracked and the snail's body had peacefully passed away. After doing everything, Lim Dae-in immediately collapsed. My current constitution is still too weak. 2 lightning palms in one day drained all my energy. Lily got scared and quickly kicked Lim Dae-in 50 times. Uncle, you're not dead, right? Don't scare me. Dead girl, quickly help your uncle up. Then Lim Dae-in cut off the best meat from the snail. This meat is perfect for making magic power nutritious soup. At this time, Lily hadn't realized her uncle was about to develop even more insane dark cuisine. When the flames dispersed, all the squads were stunned. The snail that dozens of Supermans couldn't take down had now become White House Guild's exclusive spoils of war. Wang Guho could no longer speak. Could this man really have come to save me? After the mission ended, Lim Dae-in called Baek Young-hui to discuss squad formation. Because a Superman squad not only needed combat-type Supermans, but also photography teams to record and create promotional videos. This way they could recruit other Supermans, and also needed professional medical teams and equipment support teams. Lim Dae-in delegated all talent recruitment to Baek Young-hui, then said to her, put other things aside for now. Go contact Black Hound Guild and poach their Wang Guho. At night, Lim Dae-in again displayed his devastating culinary skills. Fresh snail meat plus the extracted snail inner core. Finally, he made a pot of hellish snail meat soup emitting black smoke. Lily saw the food's appearance and immediately said, I ate a lot of fried chicken yesterday, not too hungry. But Lim Dae-in ignored her, enduring nausea while eating and saying, the tender snail meat is plump and juicy. Every inch that touches the tongue can stimulate saliva secretion as the meat juice slowly melts in the mouth. Lily said, I suddenly feel like I can finish it all. Good, you said it yourself. Finish it all. Lily, who had just taken one bite, nearly died from nausea, as if she'd eaten a stinky shoe sole. She said, Uncle, next time just kill me directly rather than making me eat. But Lim Dae-in said, don't be in a hurry to die. Guess what? Uncle is taking you treasure hunting now. It turned out that countless monsters had already established territories in the contaminated zone. Among them was a type of monster called Uruk. Their tribal stone statues hid treasures from other dimensions, and Lim Dae-in had quietly brought Lily to the outskirts of the Uruk tribe. He gave Lily her orders, start the fire as soon as you see my signal, got it? Then he activated his stealth ability and infiltrated the enemy camp. Little Lily, also cloaked in his stealth ability, crouched on a treetop waiting for the signal. Lim Dae-in's target was a treasure hidden within the Uruk tribe's stone statues, but unfortunately, he ran straight into the Uruk chieftain. He remembered from his past life that when they fought the Uruk tribe, 5 Supermans were killed by this chieftain. This monster was incredibly powerful. He dodged the chieftain and grabbed a stone, then threw it at a nearby torch. Lily immediately understood this was the signal, and she activated her ability, setting fires throughout the Uruk settlement. Though the Uruk chieftain couldn't see Lim Dae-in, he somehow pointed in his general direction. Countless Uruks began diving toward this area. What shocked Lim Dae-in even more was that the chieftain had actually sensed his location and was swinging his blade at him. Knowing he was no match, Lim Dae-in immediately fled. Then he looked up and shouted to Lily, I've been discovered, retreat now! After running far away, Lim Dae-in felt frustrated. Having traveled back from the future but without his former strength, he had intel on all the treasure locations, yet couldn't even steal the simplest treasure. But Lily said, I know this place. She explained that she had originally teleported to Earth through this very cave entrance, which was why she had been chased and cornered by those bad men inside the cave. Lim Dae-in knew about the bad men Lily mentioned. They were the future criminal organization Crimson Snake, and he never expected they'd have a base right next to the monster Uruks. Lim Dae-in was delighted. He asked Lily, do you know the saying, when the snipe and clam fight, the fisherman benefits? You hide by the cave entrance, and if there's trouble inside, I'll signal you with the walkie-talkie. Understand? Lim Dae-in activated his stealth and entered the cave, only to discover it was much more than it appeared. A group of people in lab coats were producing something. Suddenly, he noticed one of them pick up a bag of white powder. Lim Dae-in was alarmed. Could this be the illegal drug serpent? Serpent was a drug made from otherworldly plants, more addictive than any substance on Earth, and countless people had already died or become living corpses because of it. No wonder the police investigation had been fruitless for years. The production base was hidden in a place like this. Ordinary human police officers would probably be torn to shreds by alien beasts if they entered this area. Perfect. Then I'll be the one to punish this evil. With a loud snap, the entire cave's power was cut off, plunging everything into darkness. And when people turned on their flashlights, they discovered that all the stored serpent had vanished. When Lim Dae-in emerged from the cave, he said to Lily, come on, get in the box and get to work. Uncle's going to play hide and seek with you. At this moment, armed personnel finally spotted the intruder. But Lim Dae-in turned back with a charming smile. "Baby, come and catch me!" Then he weaved through the hail of bullets. Finally, he stopped in his tracks. Facing him were Uruk tribesmen searching for Lim Dae-in. "So you've come too, my darlings," the Uruk chieftain roared. "I'm gonna kill you, you bastard who burned down my tribe." Lim Dae-in shouted back, "Don't get so worked up, baby. I've got a little gift for you." With that, he threw the serpent at him. The Crimson Snake captain was so furious his lungs nearly exploded. He cursed, "You're such a damn dog." But his priority was still to retrieve the serpent. And so, a war between modern weapons and brute force began. Neither side really knew why they had to fight. But they still fought fiercely, with frustration and rage. In the end, the Uruk leader was severely wounded but proved more skilled. He howled triumphantly at the sky to celebrate his victory, but then a disgusting voice came from behind him. "Thanks for all your hard work, baby." After stabbing the leader, Lim Dae-in said to Lily, "This is what you call the fisherman benefits." And so Lim Dae-in successfully smashed the stone statue as planned, obtaining 2 legendary treasures, the Guardian bracelets. Not only could they rapidly restore the wearer's condition, they could also consume the wearer's magic to create protective shields. Plus, once worn, the bracelets would turn invisible, unseen by others. Lim Dae-in generously gave one to Lily. Lily said, "I'm actually wearing the same bracelet as Uncle." A blush appeared on her face that shouldn't belong to someone her age. Then Lim Dae-in took Lily back into the cave to eliminate the remaining Crimson Snake members. He activated his protective shield to block all bullets while explaining the bracelet's functions to Lily. Not only could it provide protection, but it could be developed for other uses too. After listening, Lily activated her protective shield, then directly hurled the shield at the enemy forces. "This shield can be used for attacks too, right?" Lim Dae-in's face darkened. How could he get this little girl to stop showing off her talent? In the end, Lily set the entire cave on fire. Lim Dae-in conveniently packed up all the gold from Crimson Snake's treasury, telling the remaining Crimson Snake members, "Either you turn yourselves in or I'll beat you to death." But when everyone chose to surrender, one man stood still. "I want to follow you, boss. Don't hand me over to the police." Since he had been tricked into joining Crimson Snake and hadn't done much evil, Lim Dae-in decided to keep him around. Lim Dae-in had already bought up all the surrounding land, but there was no house yet, so he lay in his hammock right in front of the man and said, "Sleeping in this hammock every day is getting really old. Boss, I can build houses. Leave it to me." Lim Dae-in called him Pound Cake. "Boss, before I got tricked into Crimson Snake, I worked construction for 3 years, was a chef for 3 years, and did cleaning for 2 years." After trying Pound Cake's cooking, Lim Dae-in finally agreed to let him work under his supervision for 3 years of reform through labor. Pound Cake was moved to tears, but to prevent him from running away or causing other trouble, Lim Dae-in sealed his pressure points. For these 3 years, he would lose his sexual function, becoming a eunuch. Only after honestly working for 3 full years would Lim Dae-in unseal him. 2 days later, Lim Dae-in brought people to the Black Hound Guild to negotiate a transfer, wanting to sign Wang Guho. He knew that his Black Hound Guild didn't have a single good person. He hid in the back with wide eyes, unable to believe someone would actually want him. The negotiation began, and Wang Guho heard the Black Hound Guild praise him as a rising star and a key talent they were cultivating for the first time. He saw White House Guild's Baek Young-hui smiling as she said, "Of course, we've already prepared the 5 billion transfer fee we agreed on." No, rising star Wang Guho successfully renewed his contract with our guild this morning. According to the new contract, the penalty fee is 10 billion. Baek Young-hui was about to explode upon hearing this. But Lim Dae-in stood up and said, "We're leaving." He knew the Black Hound Guild had set a trap, wanting to provoke the White House Guild into causing trouble here. "Wang Guho, looks like they don't take you seriously either. You might as well stay here and continue being their dog. Everyone, don't let us keep you. Oh, but you should probably visit a hospital first because that little girl just ate expired cake." Lim Dae-in suddenly stopped and gave the trash-talking man a full swing slap, driving him straight into the floor. Then kicked another silent man out of the room. "Weren't you trying to provoke me? Should I keep hitting, or should your boss come out? Also, Wang Guho, you're definitely coming with me today." Wang Guho trembled all over, not from fear, but because the man before him seemed to be doing what he wanted to do, living the life he didn't dare to live. How could someone live so recklessly, so freely? Finally, the Black Hound Guild's representative, Demon King Kim Tae-jin, arrived on scene. He was one of the original Awakeners, with terrifyingly overwhelming power. Lim Dae-in told Lily and Baek Young-hui to leave first, saying he could handle it himself. But Lily asked seriously, "Uncle, should I burn this whole place down?" Lim Dae-in was exasperated with this future disaster. Why did she always want to burn everything at the slightest disagreement? "From now on, you can't play with fire without my permission, understand?" After everyone left, Kim Tae-jin actually released his pressure and smiled. "Kid, how about working under me? You don't need to leave your guild, just provide me with information regularly. So this is why you went to such lengths to provoke me? What if I refuse?" "Refuse? I'll personally break one of your legs right here." At this moment, outside the Black Hound Guild building, White House Guild Chairman Baek Chang-soo was shouting from outside, "Kim Tae-jin, you bastard! If you don't let Lim Dae-in out, I'll tear down your guild building, beat you into dog shit. I'm counting to 1. If you don't come out, I'm charging in. 1. But then Lim Dae-in appeared behind him. Chairman, what are you doing? How did you get out? Weren't you imprisoned by those dogs? Want to know how I got out? It turned out that just a few minutes earlier, Kim Tae-jin had said if Lim Dae-in refused him, he would personally break one of his legs. But Lim Dae-in just laughed. Big brother, I heard you and your sister-in-law are especially close friends. Close to the point of intimacy, right? If you're willing to make your relationship with your sister-in-law public, I'll be willing to spy for you. How about it? Big brother. Just kidding, Lim Dae-in had traveled back from the future. What superhero gossip could escape him? Kim Tae-jin's face twitched like someone had stepped on his tail, while Lim Dae-in kept saying, Big brother, say something. Are you mute? Deal or no deal? Well, then I'll be going. Big brother, you waive Wang Guho's 10 billion penalty fee. Then give me another 10 billion in hush money, and from now on we'll be good friends. So it's settled. See you later, big brother. Inside the White House Guild, Baek Chang-soo was shouting, Impossible. He let you go just because you sang him a song? That guy's a total scumbag. I don't believe it. And at this moment, Lim Dae-in felt a warm feeling surge in his heart. If the Baek father and daughter only considered guild interests, they wouldn't have run to the Black Hound Guild to save him. In his previous life, Lim Dae-in had fought all his life, rarely experiencing loyalty and concern. Wang Guho was finally signed, but this grown man was acting all shy and coquettish. Seeing the new captain couldn't even say a greeting, just kept bowing woodenly. Lim Dae-in had a headache giving him psychological counseling. Wang Guho, don't underestimate yourself. I signed you because you have value. He first had Wang Guho demonstrate his ability, and Wang Guho's trait was full-body petrification. Lim Dae-in felt Wang Guho all over, making him want to say, Captain, I don't sell my body. But he didn't dare. Lim Dae-in satisfyingly knocked on Wang Guho's chest. Confirmed, even better than that guy called Jia Minchol 10 years from now. He was called the Mobile Fortress, but Wang Guho's trait was even better. It's just that in the previous life, Wang Guho was too cowardly by nature and died before he could become strong. 1 year, no, 6 months. In just 6 months, I can turn you into the city's best tank. I'll open up a brilliant life for you. You need to love yourself too, kid. Wang Guho nearly cried. No one had ever valued him this much. And at this moment, Pound Cake had finished cooking, a pot of pitch-black magical nutrition soup. 3 bowls each, drink it all. Lily already felt like living was a burden. I'm not a superhero, and I don't have magic power. Do I have to drink it too? After finishing the dark cuisine, the team began combat training. Facing terrifying monsters, Wang Guho trembled and hid behind Lim Dae-in. You're a tank, a tank. How can a tank be cowardly? Are those 5 nutrition meals a day for nothing? Wang Guho cried as he hugged the monster's leg. The monster was nearly dying of rage, constantly pounding him with its fists. You beast, let go of me. Wang Guho, hold this position for 1 minute, or you're eating 6 plates of nutrition meals tonight. No, I don't want to eat them. And the monster kept struggling, swinging its fists. All right, Lily, your turn. I don't want to eat that ghost food every day. I'm getting emotional. I'll let you have fried chicken tonight. Wah. Wang Guho. You idiot, get out of the way. Let me burn this monster. After completing the mission, medical and camera crews arrived, all recruited by Baek Young-hwae. Currently, Baek Young-hwae was temporarily serving as secretary for Lim Dae-in's team. What surprised Lim Dae-in was, Baek Young-hwae had a keen eye and had recruited what would become the most professional support team in the future, the Cheon family siblings. Support Team Medical Captain Cheon Il-nam, Camera Team Captain Cheon In-nam, Equipment Support Captain Cheon Seol-a, and Lim Dae-in was working hard to recruit team members for the upcoming difficult B-class portal mission. Portal missions were divided into A and B types. A-class portals would spew out large numbers of monsters after appearing, but the portal would eventually close. So you just needed to eliminate the monsters. But B-class portals wouldn't disappear. To solve B-class portals, you needed to enter the portal and destroy its core. When Lim Dae-in received the mission, he found the terrain very familiar. It was called the Fallen Soul Labyrinth. In the previous future, the superheroes had underestimated its danger and were nearly wiped out. Fortunately, the previous future's Lim Dae-in hadn't participated in that mission, or he might already be dead. To be absolutely safe, Lim Dae-in had to recruit the only superhero in Country A with creator traits, Jang Youngshin, to his team before the mission began. So the next day, Lim Dae-in went to the barbershop run by Jang Youngshin's mother for a haircut, and even bought Lily a pretty little dress for the first time. Because Jang Youngshin suffered from savant syndrome, a disease that only geniuses could have, patients were almost unwilling to socialize with anyone. But he was a teenager, and no matter how awesome his condition was, it couldn't stop teenage hormones. So the success of this mission would depend on Lily's performance. At this moment, Jang Youngshin's mother was cutting Lim Dae-in's hair, while Lily played by herself, waiting for him. Soon, the mother frowned. because that pretty little girl was completely fascinated by her son's little chicken figurine. Customer Lim Dae-in thought, it's time to release the magical aura unique to superheroes. Upstairs, her son sensed the magical aura and suddenly panicked. Mom was in danger! Finally, Jang Yongshin walked down the stairs he hadn't descended in 3 years. Lim Dae-in telepathically told Lily, execute the plan, honey trap. Lily enthusiastically rushed to the boy. Hi there, did you make this figurine? It's so cute. This one? Yes, I made it. Is it cute? So amazing, you're so cute as well. Really? Lily said she liked fried chicken. Jang Yongshin said he liked pizza. Wow, what's pizza? He said I can take you to try some if you'd like. Lim Dae-in was overjoyed. Wasn't this mission accomplished? Mom was amazed. My Yongshin actually talks so much to a stranger. So with Lily's assistance, Lim Dae-in's team finally signed the newcomer, Jang Yongshin, who would create superhero equipment worth hundreds of billions in the future. A few days later, the team headed to the mission site. By this time, Lim Dae-in and Lily's clothes had been replaced with battle suits personally crafted by Jang Yongshin using the Uruk chieftain's hide. Jang Yongshin had even embroidered Lily's favorite fried chicken leg on her left sleeve and his favorite pizza on her right sleeve. Wang Guho shyly asked the captain, do I get battle gear? Lim Dae-in coldly replied, what does a meat shield need battle gear for? Everything was ready. The only flaw was that Jang Yongshin's mother's haircutting skills were terrible, so Lim Dae-in would have to say goodbye to handsome hairstyles from now on. The team finally arrived at the mission portal, but Baek Young-hwai was furious with the staff. It turned out this mission was planned as a joint operation between 4 guilds, White House Guild, Hero Guild, Black Hound Guild, and Red Shark Guild. But the other 3 guilds had entered the portal 2 hours early, wanting to abandon White House Guild and grab the treasures first. But Lim Dae-in couldn't help applauding. Having traveled back from the future, he knew the first batch to go in was destined to become cannon fodder. This dungeon, called Fallen Soul Labyrinth, was initially wrongly classified as B-level danger. But after countless superhero casualties, its danger level kept skyrocketing. Sure enough, when Lim Dae-in entered the portal, the first thing that greeted them was Red Shark Guild's superhero team, staggering on their feet, drooling, with wise-looking eyes. Lim Dae-in immediately recognized their abnormal state was because they'd been stung by zombie bees. Wang Guho, go intercept them. You can turn to stone. If they bite others, it'll spread infection. Wang Guho was scared, absolutely unwilling. Lim Dae-in slapped Wang Guho forward. Stop talking nonsense! Charge! So Wang Guho ran forward, shouting, so scary, while petrifying himself. Mommy! They're coming at me! Huh? Turns out I can stop them. Little zombies. Bring it on! Lily asked, can I just burn them all? No, they're superheroes and they can still be saved. Lim Dae-in's team had clear division of labor. Cheon Inum had already taken out his camera to start filming. Cheon Seol-a brought out pre-prepared insect-proof suits to prevent the team from being stung by zombie bees. Cheon Il-nam also brought out pre-prepared antidotes. Then, Lim Dae-in made his move, pointing with one finger and shouting, freeze! One Red Shark Guild superhero froze in place. After all the zombies were immobilized, he opened the antidote Cheon Il-nam had brought. People stung by zombie bees were only conscious for the first 10 minutes. After 30 minutes, they would become dull slaves of the hive. These superheroes looked like they'd been poisoned for over 30 minutes. Even after giving them the medicine, it would affect their intelligence, leaving them acting foolish for the next year. At this point, Lim Dae-in told his team to stay away from him. He had some little secrets he couldn't let his team members know yet. He smiled evilly, then took out a syringe filled with purple liquid. In his previous life, he had set foot in countless other dimensions, visited the sword and magic continent of Gaia, visited the martial spirit world where people cultivated physical strength and true chi, visited the demon-filled demon realm, and visited Byron continent where magic and technology combined. He learned many mysterious techniques in these places, including spells to control low-intelligence animals. Lim Dae-in took out a magic whistle and blew it, and the superheroes he'd just saved stood straight up. Everyone, fight alongside us from now on. The superheroes immediately nodded, their expressions wise, their eyes gleaming with intelligence. Actually, they were just stupid. Several wise superheroes bravely attacked the bee swarm. Wang Guho took the opportunity to catch the queen bee. Lily, burn down the swarm. Extra drumstick if you do. She immediately got excited. Yeah, watch me. So Lily directly unleashed flame attacks. After defeating the zombie bees, Cheon Seol-a watched those intelligence-reduced superheroes happily playing with Lily. He asked, Captain, you really didn't do anything excessive to them? No, they're grateful for me saving their lives, so they want to help us fight monsters. At this point, several Hero Guild superheroes came walking with Parkinson's-like steps. So, through this and that, they too transformed into wise superheroes and joined the group playing with Lily. Alright, we need to pull ourselves together and continue exploring. It's all tough battles ahead. He let 10-year-old Lily command these superheroes with 3-year-old intelligence. And when Lily blew the magic whistle, the superheroes would charge at monsters regardless of everything. The fierce lone warrior assault finally forced out the ultimate boss, a giant bat with a magic mirror on its head. It was called the Mirror Devil, and behind it were superheroes controlled by mirror illusions. So the bizarre battle began. Lim Dae-in waved his hand, and his controlled superheroes charged forward with wise eyes. Since Lim Dae-in's superheroes had their intelligence reduced, they were no longer affected by the magic mirror. The Mirror Devil flapped its wings, and its controlled superheroes also charged forward, drooling. Lim Dae-in led Wang Guho and Lily charging behind them. Suddenly, he remembered something important and shouted to Wang Guho, "Don't look at that mirror! Otherwise..." But before he could finish, Wang Guho turned back and shouted, "Turns out I'm a female internet celebrity with millions of fans." His eyes became incredibly wise. "Idiot, you actually looked at the mirror." At this point, Lily said, "I'm annoyed. Let me burn them all." Lim Dae-in was startled. He had to activate his stealth ability to take Lily away from the scene first. In stealth, Lily was furious, constantly cursing, "Idiot, idiot, idiot." And at this moment, the Mirror Devil activated its mirror magic light to chase them. Lim Dae-in covered Lily's eyes and continued fleeing. This is troublesome. That mirror can even see through stealth. But during the chase, he also discovered the Mirror Devil's flight pattern. It habitually flew in arcs to one side. So he had the intellectual disability squad raise their shields. The Mirror Devil howled at the sky and launched a charge command. And two waves of wise superheroes clashed together. Lim Dae-in made his move. Sure enough, the Mirror Devil spun and flew to the right. "Lily, now!" Lily wore the magic mirror to resist the mirror magic light, launching flames like a rock singer. The Mirror Devil spun right again to dodge the flames, then arrogantly dove toward Lim Dae-in again. Lim Dae-in activated his shield to block its path, then leaped up. Lily sacrificed her shield in the air as his stepping stone. Lim Dae-in's face darkened. This girl's battle talent and combat instincts are simply 3 times stronger than mine. The Mirror Devil spun right and finally broke through the shield, and Lim Dae-in had already positioned himself early on its next right turn path. "Little bat, right turn, right turn, right turn. Looks like a circle." He slashed with his blade, and the Mirror Devil was decapitated. "The mirror is mine! Thank you, little bat." After defeating the Mirror Devil, everyone came to the deepest part of the dungeon, but Wang Guho was still trapped in the illusion and hadn't come out. "Uncle, you already got the mirror. Why aren't you freeing that idiot from the illusion?" "I won't free him, or when we meet the final boss, this idiot will fall for another trick." And in the eerie hall behind the door, ghostly blue spirit energy hung like underworld street lamps in the sky. The ultimate boss's eyes were suddenly lit by the ghostly energy. "I can eat fresh flesh and blood again." He was the first death god born in the universe. For the first 10 billion years he slept, until humans appeared. And he revived by feeding on human souls. And when superheroes began appearing on Earth, he discovered superhero souls tasted even better. So he opened portals in cities, disguising them as B-level portals to lure more superheroes to deliver themselves like takeout. Today, finally another wave of superheroes came outside the hall, but he heard a whistle blow at the door, and a large group of superheroes excitedly charged at him. Strangely, there was a man and woman commanding from behind, and the superhero charging in front had wisdom gleaming in his eyes. "Say you're my biggest fan!" "What the hell? Why is this superhero so obnoxious? So disgusting? You want to hug me? Of course you can!" Death God was furious, swinging his blade at Wang Guho, but Wang Guho blocked the attack with his petrified arms. Great, so you're a hater." Death God was about to vomit from disgust, so he unleashed soul-binding magic, which could confuse nearby people into puppets. But Death God found that those affected superheroes seemed unafraid, punching him with vigor. Lim Dae-in watched from the side while thinking. Sure enough, after I used brainwashing techniques on these superheroes and then exposed them to the magic mirror, other soul illusion attacks are completely useless on them. Seeing magic was useless, Death God prepared to cut down the superheroes one by one with his sword, but he discovered today his sword felt a bit heavy. Looking down, he saw Wang Guho straddling his sword. Death God was about to collapse, wanting to throw away his sword because he felt it was no longer pure. Death God's eyes turned red with rage as he began summoning demons. Red summoning circles appeared on the ground, and countless demon monkeys emerged from the circles. But immediately a great fire blazed throughout the hall, burning all the demon monkeys. Lily was now full of confidence. "Uncle, I can have fried chicken after burning them, right?" Death God collapsed. His 2 best magic spells had been easily broken. At this point, he finally recognized that the man in the trench coat was the real leader of these superheroes. Then he waved his hand and threw his disgusting sword at the man. Lim Dae-in dodged the giant sword and quickly turned around. That scene was too disgusting, he didn't dare look. And at this moment, more superheroes with wise eyes pounced on Death God, punching him tirelessly with vigor. Lim Dae-in smiled happily. No rush. Let them pound him for an hour first, then I'll make my move." An hour later, Death God had been pounded to collapse. the light in his eyes nearly extinguished. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Baldy. Now I'll duel with you. You're shameless and despicable. Why didn't you wait for them to beat me to death before dueling?" Death God concentrated all his hatred into his fist. Lim Dae-in also gathered magic light in his fist. Thunder Fist. Death God's humiliation finally ended because he finally died. But a blue light point was glowing in his chest. "Wait! This is a soul stone. It's actually here." The magic power it contained was incomparable to even the highest grade magic crystals. Getting the soul stone was also Lim Dae-in's purpose for entering this dungeon. "I'm rich! I'm rich!" He could use this soul stone to cleanse his meridians and transform his body, making it more suitable for martial arts, but more importantly, to extend his lifespan. "When my 3-year term is up and I retire, having a younger body will let me play with beautiful women on beaches." Lily came over. "Are you so happy because this thing tastes good? Silly girl, all you think about is eating. You can't eat this. This thing is... Before Lim Dae-in could finish, something strange happened. The soul stone disappeared. He instantly petrified, his heart collapsing as he screamed, "Where did it go?" And at this moment, the watch on his wrist reacted. It began spinning rapidly. Lim Dae-in finally understood where the soul stone went. That stone had been swallowed by this watch. Outside the portal, Baek Young-hui had been waiting anxiously for 10 days. She was even preparing to send other teams in to rescue Lim Dae-in's team. But finally, the portal began to shake, and Lim Dae-in walked out carrying the fainted Lily. He was shocked. This watch had actually accelerated time flow. 10 minutes inside had been 10 days outside. Seeing Lim Dae-in, Baek Young-hui hugged him tight. Lim Dae-in nervously shouted, "Don't do this. This looks bad. Plus I'm carrying a child. Woman, have some restraint." White House Guild held a celebration banquet for Lim Dae-in's team. Straight man father Lim Dae-in brought out overalls for Lily, and Lily was so moved she almost threw up last night's dinner. In the end, she stuck to her own aesthetic, wearing a beautiful red little dress. This made Jang Young-shin's eyes go straight, and he invited Lily to taste the banquet food together. Like Jade on the road, an unparalleled gentleman, Jang Young-shin used his eyes as a camera shutter to take 10,000 photos of Lily in one night, storing them in his heart. After 3 rounds of drinks, Baek Chang-soo asked Lim Dae-in what his ideal was. "My dream is to retire, make tons of money, build a 10,000 square meter mansion, lie flat every day and invite friends over to play." Having come back from the future, Lim Dae-in knew human survival would become increasingly difficult, and to achieve his dream he needed to work even harder. Especially after seeing that rainbow that appeared out of nowhere in the sky, he felt even more urgent. These days, all cities worldwide had clear skies, but giant rainbows appeared everywhere. Lim Dae-in knew that as time passed, the rainbow colors would disappear in sequence, and when all colors disappeared, humanity would face a great disaster, July night. That was the closest humanity had come to extinction, when hundreds of portals would appear over a city, and many terrifyingly powerful monsters would pour out. The previous life's Lim Dae-in had nearly died in that catastrophe. In this life, Lim Dae-in not only had many more comrades to fight alongside, but also more team members and family to protect. His strength had already far surpassed his previous life self at the same period, and he had an additional hidden trump card. The watch he brought back from the future, after absorbing the soul stone, could transform into an arm armor. The next day, Lim Dae-in brought his team members and Baek Chang-soo to the restricted zone. He had now bought all the land in the entire restricted zone. Baek Chang-soo excitedly jumped into the clear lake, and bringing him here was part of Lim Dae-in's plan for the future. At this moment, Baek Young-hui seductively put up her hair, wanting Lim Dae-in to apply sunscreen on her. Straight man Lim Dae-in got tsundere again and said, "You should practice your flexibility more. Look, I can easily reach my back." He pointed at Wang Guho and Pound Cake. "You can have my subordinates help you apply it." Pound Cake was very perceptive and immediately stepped forward to greet her. "Hello, Mrs. Lim. You can call me Pound Cake." "Oh my, Captain Lim and I haven't developed that kind of relationship yet. Calling me that makes me shy." "Pound Cake, do you think you're being funny? Call her Mrs. Lim one more time and I'll beat you into a bloody pulp." After settling everyone, Lim Dae-in finally began implementing his plan. He asked Baek Chang-soo if he wanted to have a swimming race. Battle-crazy Baek Chang-soo was of course 100% willing, so he swam vigorously with full energy, taking the lead. Lim Dae-in followed behind Baek Chang-soo, joyful in his heart. "Great! Excellent! That thing should be coming out soon too." Sure enough, the next moment, a giant octopus monster emerged from the water ahead. Baek Chang-soo was furious. "You damn creature dare to interfere with my duel." He leaped into the air, throwing a punch like a guardian of sportsmanship, like a righteous ray of light. Lim Dae-in was stunned. This old guy really is a monster, actually sending that troublesome octopus straight to hell with one punch. Baek Chang-soo said, "It seems this area has many unknown dangers. I'm worried about the people on shore. I need to go back and protect them." While Lim Dae-in replied, "I want to investigate the underwater area and return to shore before dinner." Today went so smoothly. Baek Chang-soo helped Lim Dae-in deal with the octopus blocking the way, so he could finally come here to hunt for treasure. Soon, he finally found the secret realm from his memories. But suddenly, a whirlpool struck from the water. His body was firmly caught by the vortex. Even the magical protective shield around his head for breathing was shattered by the whirlpool. Gradually, Lim Dae-in lost consciousness. Not long after, a few drops of dew fell on Lim Dae-in's forehead. He woke up to find himself tied up like a dumpling with water plants. And his kidnappers were actually 3 palm-sized little sprites. But as soon as he woke up, he directly broke free from the water plants binding him. The 3 little sprites were scared out of their wits, crying for their parents. "We're gonna die. This man is so scary." But Lim Dae-in was more worried than they were. If he remembered correctly, these little guys were called Nununs, benevolent and innocent fairy folk from another dimension. But this didn't match Lim Dae-in's memories. In his previous life's memories, the fairy folk hadn't appeared at this point in time. If it was because his time travel had changed the course of history, the clues and treasure locations from his previous life's memories might lose their meaning. Even worse, humanity would face a more difficult survival environment than the previous future. Lim Dae-in asked them why they were here. The little guys said that one day a portal suddenly appeared in the lake where they originally lived, and they accidentally passed through it and ended up here. But after coming here, they were hunted by a terrifying fish monster. Over the years, only the 3 of them survived. Later, they hid at the bottom of the lake and survived because there was a good friend here who would protect them. Lim Dae-in's anxious heart finally relaxed. So those fairy folk were eaten by the octopus monster. No wonder there were no memories of fairy folk at this time point in his previous life. It seems history hasn't changed. Lim Dae-in told the Nununs, "That octopus monster has been killed by my friend. You're free now, you can go out." One Nunun jumped into his palm. It turns out Nununs can sense whether others are lying. When their tails emit green light, it proves the person is telling the truth. Then they circled around Lim Dae-in, dancing and singing. "So noisy, that's enough!" Then Lim Dae-in walked out with the Nununs. They pestered Lim Dae-in saying, "Let's be friends. You'll be our good friend from now on." But before leaving, Lim Dae-in needed to find a magical wine jug here. This was the essential treasure he needed to strengthen his power and get rich in the future. But there was a powerful mechanical guardian there. Lim Dae-in guessed that the friend protecting them from the octopus attacks was this mechanical guardian. So next, he just needed to bypass the guardian, grab the wine jug, and he'd be rolling in money. Then he could transform this place into a Nunun-themed amusement park and become a wealthy, leisurely park manager. At this moment, the Nunun said, "We're close to our friend. Let's go say hello." Lim Dae-in asked, "Is your friend a guy made entirely of steel?" "I don't want to meet him, I want to avoid him." But the Nunun said, "Oh really? But he's already here." As they spoke, the mechanical guardian emerged from the shadows. Intruder detected. Ceiling trial area. At that moment, the heavy stone door behind them closed. Intruder type analysis complete. Confirmed as elimination target. Friend's appearance has changed. "Little guys, can you talk to your friend and tell him not to be impulsive? I don't want to fight him." But the mechanical guardian had already completed its transformation. The merciless mechanical voice echoed in the cave, "Begin eliminating intruder." Fortunately, Lim Dae-in's watch had absorbed the soul stone and transformed into mechanical armor covering one arm. As the mechanical guardian's attack came, Lim Dae-in raised his arm to block it. But in the first metal-on-metal collision, Lim Dae-in was still knocked back 10 meters. After all, the opponent was a killing machine, made by some mysterious race absolutely superior to Lim Dae-in in raw power. But Lim Dae-in's watch armor also shattered one of the mechanical guardian's hands. Readjusting intruder danger level. Unlocking advanced weapon functions. Lim Dae-in threw a punch. Only an idiot would wait for you to unlock. Activating self-repair function. This kind of battle couldn't continue. The mechanical guardian could repair itself without damage each time. But Lim Dae-in's body was already feeling considerable strain from just injecting magic power to use the armor once. He thought to himself, "Can't fight head-on. First destroy that wall and escape, then bring reinforcements back to deal with him." But the fairy folk Nununs actually rushed into the center of the battlefield. "Nunubot, don't fight! Lim Dae-in is our friend." Nunubot? Is that the name the Nununs gave the robot? Not elimination target. Friend Nununs. Disarming. But Lim Dae-in seized the opportunity and threw a punch. Nununs, great assist. The Nununs were devastated. Their friend Lim Dae-in had no martial ethics, sneak attacking their friend Nunubot. He had no shame at all. Then he actually shouted in front of the Nununs, "Let me help you repair," and viciously pummeled Nunubot 30 times. The Nununs' hearts were breaking. "Nunubot, don't die. Why is this happening? You're not a good person. You killed Nunubot. He attacked me first, okay?" At this moment, the mechanical guardian lying on the ground spoke again. Trial terminated. Challenger disqualified. Mission complete. Lim Dae-in took the key from the mechanical guardian's hand, overjoyed, completely ignoring the Nununs beside him, who were almost crying themselves to death. "We won't be friends with you anymore. Friends don't shamelessly sneak attack friends. Please, he's not dead. When we get back to the lake surface, I can revive him." Then the Nununs jumped into Lim Dae-in's palm and found the energy glow was green. He's telling the truth. Dae-in is still a good friend. Lim Dae-in thought to himself, ridiculous. I have the great god Jang Young-shin. Even if the robot turns to scrap metal, he can fix it. Finally, Lim Dae-in opened the secret chamber and found the legendary treasure, the wine of life. The bottle would contain endless fine wine, each drop possessing powerful healing abilities. I'm rich. In this era, they haven't even invented recovery potions yet. With unlimited refills of delicious recovery medicine in my hands, it'd be hard not to get rich. Then Lim Dae-in poured himself a few sips first. The new nuns beside him shouted, "Me too! Me too!" Lim Dae-in pretended to be reluctant as he dripped 2 drops into the new nun's mouth. The next moment, the new nuns who drank the wine actually emitted brilliant light. She felt her body become lighter, but her size actually became smaller. It seems the wine of life had special effects on them. Finally, the 3 new nuns and Lim Dae-in emerged from the lake, but they discovered blazing light overhead. Is this the sun of the Earth world? Is Earth's weather always this hot? Looking at the giant fireball in the sky, Lim Dae-in shouted, "Lily, stop it!" "Huh? Uncle!" Seeing Lim Dae-in return, Baek Young-hui directly dove into the lake and hugged him. "Be more reserved, there are children present." Sure enough, the 3 little ones flew out from behind Lim Dae-in. Dae-in is in danger. Dae-in has been caught by a seductive witch. Even fiercer was Lily, who directly headbutted Lim Dae-in, then pummeled him with her little fists. "I didn't even eat looking for you, stinky uncle. Do you know how worried I was?" Baek Chang-soo said, "Good thing you came back in time, or Lily would have dried up this entire lake." Lim Dae-in's eyes showed tenderness. "Sorry, I really did come back late." He couldn't help thinking. So in this rebirth, heaven arranged such a warm and loving life for me. Baek Young-hui told him she had already mass-produced and sold the wine of life. Lim Dae-in was gratified. In the great battle a few days later, the supermen who bought the wine of life would be able to live longer. Meanwhile, he urged Baek Young-hui to increase publicity, because he needed more money to buy equipment. Speaking of equipment, Jang Young-shin was working day and night to repair the mechanical guardian. Lim Dae-in smiled cunningly. "Don't worry, that kid will definitely handle it. Because I told him if he fixes it, I'd let him go to the zoo with Lily." Subsequently, Lim Dae-in took Lily to complete the most important part of his plan. He said, "The journey is a bit far. Should we buy a car first?" Lily said no need. Then she actually spread out a magical shield in the sky, transforming it into a magic carpet. "Uncle, didn't you know shields could be used this way?" "Damn, she's showing off her talent again." The 2 arrived at one of Lim Dae-in's secret bases. He commissioned the sprite new nuns to stand guard here. After drinking the wine of life, their speed became faster than bullets, making them particularly suitable for surveillance, scouting, and tracking. They entered the cave. Lim Dae-in repeatedly emphasized, "You must not tell anyone else about this place." The cave was full of his hidden treasures. Lim Dae-in took out 3 items. One called the Deceiver's Mask. The wearer could draw people's attention to themselves and leave a good impression, and the wearer's voice would become like that of a charismatic orator. Another item called the Sage's Robe. The wearer only needed to inject a little magic power to emanate an aura that made people feel happy and refreshed. The last item called the Glowing Staff. It would emit dazzling light with just a little magic power injected. After dressing up, the 2 suddenly looked extraordinarily refined. Lim Dae-in said, "Come on, let's go fool people." At this time, elsewhere in the city, a group of supermen were frantically attacking a portal. Just as the supermen finished eliminating all the monsters, 2 mysterious figures suddenly appeared below the portal. The supermen stood ready for battle. The lead superman said these 2 seemed to have come from the portal, and their outfits looked so high-end. Lim Dae-in thought to himself, Good. There are enough witnesses here. This is the place." Then he spoke to the supermen in Gaian language. "I am Maximus, a mage from the Gaia continent. This land will soon face disaster. I came specifically to warn you." What's he saying? What language is that? Can't understand. So Lim Dae-in activated his glowing staff, looking exactly like he'd used some profound magic. Then he switched to Earth language, saying, "I just used a translation spell." Next, he repeated what he just said. While speaking, he glanced at Lily. Lily immediately understood this old deceiver was giving her a signal, so she activated her shield and lifted them both into midair. "This mage isn't joking with you all. That rainbow is a sign of disaster. Once all colors of the rainbow disappear." Hearing this, Lily immediately used flames to simulate the appearance of a portal. When the rainbow disappears, hell will descend. Demons from hell will cover every inch of sky and earth. The living will die, and the dead will rise again. People were shocked. This scene in the sky was more stunning than disaster movies in theaters. While people were stunned, Lim Dae-in returned to the ground thinking, that was some pretty good deceptive talk. Then, with a sincere and serious expression, like a mysterious sage and like a child who cares for the world, he asked, "Where is the king of this world? I need to speak with that person about the details." Then he telepathically said to Lily, "How was that? Uncle's acting skills pretty good?" Finally, he got his wish to enter the president's office. But he said to the man receiving him, "You're not the king. Quickly take me to see your real king." The visitor was the current head of the Superman cooperation organization, Ju Sang UK. He just came first to test the depth of this so-called mage. "Perhaps kings in your magic world wear crowns and carry staffs, but in our Earth world, kings look like me." Maximus suddenly had a grave expression, his whole body emanating mysterious rhythms. "I used my eyes that peer into destiny and saw that you are not the king. I can see the past and future. You have the fate of a king. You want to become king in your heart, and in the future you'll have the chance to become king. Ju Sang-yuka was shocked. This wasn't just seeing the future, this was seeing his deeply hidden ambition. How did you know? Maximus thought to himself, of course I know. When I traveled back from 20 years in the future, you kid were running for president. At that time, Superman crime rate soared, and you were the iron-fisted Superman judge. Ju Sang-yuka was convinced. He returned the staff to Maximus thinking, this mage really seems to have something. So Maximus finally got the opportunity to meet the president. But the president waved his hand and invited him to sit on a strange chair. With my eyes that peer into destiny, I see this chair as a lie detector. I think you'd be more suitable to use this chair. But having said that, Maximus still sat down openly. Ask me whatever you want. The president asked him, are you really from the Gaia continent? Will Earth really face disaster soon? Maximus answered yes to everything. But he obviously lied about the first question, because he was a native Earthling. But he had learned martial arts on the martial arts continent, and could control his breathing, pulse, and sweating, so the lie detector was useless on him. Seeing that Maximus hadn't lied, the president actually dismissed everyone and spoke privately with him. Mage sir, I have a request. Could you take me to the Gaia continent to take refuge before the disaster comes? Hearing him say this, Maximus was shocked and disappointed. Whatever reward you want, I'll give you. Gold, minerals, or magical artifacts with superpowers, take your pick. As the king of this world, do you want to abandon your people and flee alone? I'm just someone who got elected through opportunism. What do the lives and deaths of people in this world have to do with me? As long as you take me and my close friends, I'll help you make a fortune in this world. Maximus turned around with Lily to leave. As a king, you disappoint me too much. Hold on to your wretched thoughts and wait for destruction with your world. Want to leave? That's not up to you. Just then, the person beside the president removed his mask. In an instant, he emanated terrifying pressure. Instantly, the entire room was enveloped by this pressure, yet the man could precisely control it so not a trace leaked outside the room. But Maximus couldn't help laughing. A second ago, he was still acting, but this moment his laughter came from the heart. Lim Dae-in, who came back from the future, missed this powerhouse before him so much. He was one of the first awakened Supermen. Nicknamed Giant God, Kim Soo-ho. You're finally willing to show your true face, the real king of this world. Kim Soo-ho dispersed his pressure and asked in surprise, how did you know? Lim Dae-in thought, ridiculous. How could I forget your old face? I didn't expect you, old man, to be so scheming 20 years ago, making me act with you until now. How could I not know that guy wasn't the king? But now business is important. I still need to keep acting. With my eyes that peer into destiny, I see you possess the stars and destiny of heavenly mandate. Kim Soo-ho was finally fooled by Maximus. So he officially brought Maximus to the most classified meeting. Maximus surveyed the scene thinking, well, all old acquaintances, all big shots. Everyone present was a first-generation awakened Superman. There's Lim Dae-in's current boss, the Superman nicknamed Monster, Baek Chang-soo. There's the representative of the Blackhound Guild that he disliked, Demon King Kim Tae-jin. There's the female Superman, nicknamed Glacier, Han Ji-hae. There's the Superman, nicknamed Iron Wall, Min Tae-young. Maximus knew that, including Kim Soo-ho, in the previous future, facing the coming disaster, thanks to these 5 powerhouses' hard fighting. Country A didn't go extinct. But these guys weren't easy to fool. It seems I need to keep playing the role of Maximus. Iron Wall Superman Min Tae-young seemed to be listening intently. He said, right, what you're saying is very reasonable and makes sense, but no one expected that the next second he disappeared from his chair. Maximus, who was in the middle of deceiving people, felt something was wrong but couldn't see anything clearly, only felt like something suddenly flew over. When he could see clearly, he found that Min Tae-young had already subdued Lily, his hand reaching for the mask she was wearing. His face still had a smile, saying, I'm just curious what your assistant looks like, but anyone could see he still didn't trust Maximus. Then he gently said, show your face, little sweetheart. Lily's kitten mask was taken off. What happened next shocked all the Supermen. Meow, approximately, Lily actually turned into a cat. Maximus elegantly picked up the cat mask, putting it back on Lily while comforting the kitten in his arms. They were too cautious and made a mistake. My assistant is a princess of the Great Cat Clan. Showing her face in front of humans would make the Cat Clan feel very ashamed. This Superman, sir, your behavior was quite rude. It turns out the kitten mask Lim Dae-in gave Lily not only gave the wearer a cat's meow, but also triggered transformation magic into a cat when the mask was removed. Kim Soo-ho's face burned with shame, demanding Min Tae-young apologize. Mr. Kim, testing them was something we agreed on beforehand. Finally, he reluctantly apologized. Your Highness, I'm truly sorry. Lim Dae-in quickly telepathically coaxed Lily. All right, any more acting would be overdoing it. Give me extra chicken legs. Meow. Finally, after the meeting, President Kim Soo-ho urgently mobilized the entire nation's forces to prepare for battle against the disaster. Not only did Supermen begin preparing for battle, the military also moved heavy weapons in advance to where portals would appear. 36 hours before the disaster erupted, the presidential secretary said there was a favor to ask of Maximus, the great prophet. Maximus was brought to a secret library. The secretary introduced that these books were all spoils of war obtained by Supermen in combat. Because they all came from other dimensions, the writing was incomprehensible, and no one could read them. They wanted the learned prophet to select if there were any secret manuals. Aximus suppressed his wild joy and drooling, saying, "Then I'll reluctantly help you look them over." In reality, he only knew the languages of the Gaia continent and martial arts continent. At this time, one book caught his attention, titled Sword Emperor's Secret Records. The more he read, the more shocked he became. Could this really be left behind by that brilliant and decisive Sword Emperor from the martial arts continent? This book is dangerous. It was written by a demon from another world. Quick, check if there was a sword found around where this book was originally discovered. The secretary didn't dare delay and hurriedly checked, saying no sword was found. Aximus was extremely disappointed inside, but said, "It's fortunate the demon sword isn't in the Earth world. This book is dangerous. Let me take it away and seal it. Remember not to tell others about the demon book, because anyone thinking about this book is summoning it and might help it break through my seal." The secretary was successfully fooled. Back at his lodging, Aximus read while saying, "Good, good, good, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That Sword Emperor once split Heaven's Gate with one sword in the martial world." Later generations wrote poetry. If not for the great Sword Emperor, the sword path would be eternal night. This sword technique manual was called Heaven-Breaking Divine Art. Aximus immediately began practicing it. A yin-yang fish actually formed in his spiritual sea, and unlike ordinary two-aspect yin-yang fish, this one had 3 aspects. Just practicing once, he was drenched in sweat, as if both body and soul had been refined. This technique seemed to have magic power. His first practice session unknowingly lasted over 20 hours. Just then, Aximus sensed intense energy fluctuations. He looked out the window toward the sky to see a giant portal had appeared. The legendary disaster the night of July had really come. A minotaur the size of a bus broke into the human world. When it swung its meteor hammer toward the crowd, Aximus had barely arrived in time, sending out a magic shield to block the attack. The minotaur raised its iron hammer, wanting to win with one strike, but when the hammer came down, Lim Dae-in had already dodged. Magic power continuously gathered in his staff. Then he fiercely swung it at the minotaur, sending it flying far away. Aximus looked at the minotaur he'd easily swatted away, thinking something's wrong. Why are the monsters so weak this time? But the minotaur lunged at him again. Aximus' staff emitted brilliant light, nearly blinding the minotaur. He accumulated energy in his left fist. Inch punch! He finally understood it wasn't that the monsters became weaker, but that he had become stronger than his previous self after returning from the future. At this time, Lily flew toward the battlefield. She said to Aximus, "I just went to eat with my new friend." Just then, the portal shook again. Dozens of minotaurs descended on the battlefield. She prepared to roast them all. Lily's attack was indeed extraordinary. Flames like fireworks sprayed across the plaza. The large-scale fireball technique was perfect for group attacks. Ju Sang-UK was amazed seeing Aximus' monster-fighting prowess. Is this the power of a great mage? First battle victory. To thank Lim Dae-in, the president had his assistant bring out a box of high-grade magic crystals as thanks. Aximus said while drooling, "I can't accept this, I serve the people." But ultimately, he reluctantly and painfully accepted the gift. Before leaving, Lily said goodbye to her new friend. It was actually the first-generation awakened Superman, Glacier, Han Ji-hae. The two finally returned home, but saw Poundcake crying and kneeling outside the tent. "Big trouble, big brother." The president said the rainbow in the sky disappeared. Earth's disaster has come. "Oh, is that so? That's scary, right, Lily?" "Oh my, I'm so frightened." Since only 1 week remained before the final rainbow completely disappeared and disaster arrived, Lim Dae-in brought Poundcake and Lily to live in the safer White House Guild. Baek Chang-soo said to Lim Dae-in with a serious expression, "That great mage specifically told me a prophecy. The 7th Night Order can let them act according to the guidance of the Wheel of Fate. They will bring light to humanity." Lim Dae-in's face reddened a bit. Hearing others so seriously repeat his deceptive words was indeed a bit embarrassing. "I understand. Our 7th squad will follow the great mage's prophecy and roam the disaster battlefield providing support." He knew that in the coming disaster, among hundreds of portals, there would be 7 colored main portals. Other portals were all branches of these 7 portals. As long as a main portal was destroyed, all other portals of the same color would instantly disappear. When Lim Dae-in was fooling Baek Chang-soo, he told him the locations of 6 colored main portals, but concealed that he couldn't sense the red portal's location. The red main portal was the opportunity Lim Dae-in reserved for himself. There was a treasure he wanted there. Next, he just needed to coincidentally find the red portal as a free roaming squad and monopolize the opportunity. Inside the red main portal was the Flame Valley. The ground was nothing but red-hot stones and lava. For his team members to suppress the heat, he had to get the ultimate equipment, Ice Dragon's Fang. This equipment was currently stored in the Black Hound Guild, so Lim Dae-in and Lily sneakily came under cover of night. "Lily, doesn't this outfit make me look cool?" "Uncle, we're both equally cool." 2 supermen in the Black Hound Guild security room were complaining, now that the great disaster is about to erupt. "Everyone's gone to shelters. Who would come here to steal? Why do we still have to work overtime here?" Just then, a surveillance screen suddenly went dark. A blue light flashed into the security room. 2 thuds, and the 2 overtime working supermen were knocked out. A man in a black hood said, "You've worked hard overtime, get some sleep." Then Lim Dae-in removed his hood and directly pressed the alarm button. Immediately, alarms rang throughout the building. When the Blackhound Guild supermen wanted to search the building, they found every door was locked by the security system. Lim Dae-in suddenly felt sorry for these overtime wage slaves, so he kindly played soothing music throughout the building. Meanwhile, he also blasted open the warehouse door with Lily. "Uncle, this place is truly golden and glittering. Are we moving the entire warehouse today?" "That's right, take everything." "Understood?" At the same time, Kim Tae-jin received a call that someone had emptied his vault, but he was busy fighting monsters and couldn't get away. The two little thieves had already infiltrated the guild treasury. The ultimate equipment Ice Dragon's fang lay there prominently. Lily said, "I sense good stuff behind that wall too." So Lim Dae-in punched through the wall, revealing a box full of soul stones. Every time he smashed through a wall, Kim Tae-jin would tragically receive synchronized alerts from the security system. Meanwhile at the guild, Lim Dae-in extended his watch to absorb all the soul stones from the Blackhound Guild, leaving not even scraps. After finishing, Lim Dae-in gathered his squad and headed to the monster battlefield. Chan Seola saw terrifying energy waves in the battlefield and was shocked. Lim Dae-in said not to panic. That was their country's Blackhound Guild president Kim Tae-jin. "Look at his soaring energy, truly one of our country's strongest supermen. But he seems a bit sad fighting monsters. He just went bankrupt." At this time, a robot slowly descended in front of Lim Dae-in. It was the genius Jang Young-shin, who had repaired the mechanical guardian. But Jang Young-shin said he also wanted to fight because he needed to protect Lily. "Kid, you need to pick the right time for romance." But as they spoke, more portals opened and thousands of alien beasts poured into the city. So the decisive battle between supermen and alien beasts was about to begin. "Jang Young-shin, let me remind you, this is a battlefield." But before Lim Dae-in could finish, Jang Young-shin said dating Lily amid gunfire was the most romantic. Lim Dae-in had no choice but to let him follow at the back of the squad. He stood on the roof of the lead vehicle, wielding a green dragon crescent blade magnificently, cutting a bloody path for the squad. But Lily was even fiercer. Her flames were more suitable for group attacks. In terms of combat power, she might have already surpassed squad leader Lim Dae-in. At this time, heart-stopping fluctuations came from a portal ahead. A giant tyrannosaur was actually blocking the squad's path. Tank Superman Wang Gu-ho charged out first to face the tyrannosaur head-on. Golden magic power surrounded his body as he held firm against the tyrannosaur's giant mouth. This golden magic light was the diamond power art he was practicing. Once mastered, he would gain an indestructible diamond body. Just then, Jang Young-shin moved. He piloted the mechanical guardian to quickly approach the giant dragon, braking left and right, flying up and down as smooth as a swimming snake. Then it tightly grabbed the tyrannosaur's tail. With a mighty roar, the robot actually threw the hill-sized giant dragon to death with an over-the-shoulder throw. All the men present were shocked. "I want to try that mecha too." Finally, Lim Dae-in's squad charged into their destination, the red portal. Inside, it was full of lava with scorching heat hitting their faces. Lim Dae-in's ultimate goal was to defeat the sleeping flame giant here. All team members put on new combat suits, whose main component was Ice Dragon Fang stolen by Lim Dae-in. So each team member felt incredibly cool, but Lily was unhappy because she hadn't eaten anything delicious for several hours. And the considerate Jang Young-shin appeared at just the right time. He told Lily to press the button in her palm, and then a popsicle actually jumped out from the mechanical guardian's hand. "Young-shin, thank you. You're the best." "Ah, is that so?" It's nothing." The fierce battle officially began. First to appear were countless lava wild dogs. Lim Dae-in took out an ice gun made from ice dragon fangs. And with one shot, all the steaming hot wild dogs turned into ice sculptures. Immediately after, Jang Young-shin piloted the mechanical guardian, punching the dogs into ice shards one by one. But at this moment, Lily was standing aside looking dejected, telling Lim Dae-in that she seemed unable to produce flames. "Nonsense. You've been breathing fire too much along the way. You need to replenish energy, just rest on the side for now." Lily felt lost. Every battle she would charge ahead with Lim Dae-in. She asked him excitedly, "Are you making me rest because I'm useless now? Don't flatter yourself. After this mission ends, you still have to work hard like an ox or horse working for me. You better be mentally prepared. I won't do it. You're such a slave driver." But actually, Lily's cheeks were already flushed, and her heart seemed to have little deer jumping around. Everyone finally fought their way to the lava lake shore. Lim Dae-in had the medical team bring over a small beast corpse. He wanted to test if there were monsters in the lake. Sure enough, as the beast corpse was thrown into the lake, a flame python bigger than a mountain shot up into the sky. So Lim Dae-in turned around with a mischievous smile and said, "I have a brilliant plan to fish this snake out. To fish a snake, you need the snake to bite the hook, so we need to find the person with the hardest body." Wang Gu-ho said, "You went through all this trouble just to have me and Jang Young-shin be the bait, right?" Lim Dae-in said, "No, you two play rock, paper, scissors. One person is enough." In the end, Wang Gu-ho went up to the sky. He cried out, "Oh heaven and earth, which deity arranged this fate for me?" He flew up to the sky, almost shoulder to shoulder with the sun. He prayed in his heart, "Little snake, you must bite gently." With just a chomp, the lava python in the lake swallowed him whole. The robot on land shouted, "Reel in," but the python bit the hook firmly and began a tug-of-war with the shore. Inside the snake's mouth, Superman Wang Gu-ho took out his telescopic steel blade, and with one strike pierced through the skull, giving the big snake 2 more mouths above and below, performing cosmetic surgery without charging a penny. The robot suddenly found it could pull the fishing line. Turns out the big snake had loosened its grip from the pain. Finally, it was flung onto the shore by the robot. Wang Guho fell from the snake's mouth, while the big snake was now dizzy and confused from the fall. But Lim Dae-in and Wang Guho were suddenly alarmed, because the distant volcano began to shake with lava pouring out. The next moment, with scorching waves burning heaven and earth, a flame giant as big as the volcano emerged from the crater. And to make matters worse, the python on the ground also awakened and raised its head, launching a tail whip attack at Lim Dae-in. But its tail was caught by Wang Guho. For a moment, Wang Guho held onto the snake's body. Lim Dae-in swung his blade chopping. Robot Zhang Yongxin swung his hammer in circles. But at this time, one snake fighting three heroes held its ground, truly having the strength to battle Iron Man. To make things worse, the python could also spit acid, directly corroding off one of the robot's arms. And Zhang Yongxin in the robot's operating cabin said the robot had repair functions, he could still fight. At the critical moment, Lim Dae-in still showed responsibility. He said, "You all retreat quickly, I alone can hold back this beast." Just kidding, Zhang Yongxin was still underage and hadn't won Lily's heart yet. Wang Guho hadn't developed into a fortress Superman yet. Facing such danger, only Lim Dae-in could personally take on the fight. Like a father figure, even if his blade couldn't cut through, he had to hack away. But life is like a play. The flame giant from the mountain was also heading this way. That flame giant definitely wasn't coming to eat sunflower seeds and watch the show. What could be done? Fortunately, all team members had moved far from the battlefield and gotten into safety vehicles. Suddenly, Lim Dae-in's heart surged with resolve, so he held his blade horizontally toward the abyss. Instantly, his aura exploded around him, returning to his killing god mindset. He leaped up, already prepared for all attacks. Then, he used the snake's body as a road and charged forward with accumulated power. He flew up with one strike, using accumulated power to attack the snake's vital spot, and incidentally chopped off the snake's forked tongue with one blade. But Lim Dae-in didn't linger in battle. After striking, he ran, running while shouting charmingly, "Dead beast, come chase me!" But Lily's defiant voice came through the earpiece. "Uncle, I also want to go fight alongside you. Silly girl, don't mess around. You're low on energy now and can't produce flames. Coming would just be a burden." Lim Dae-in's escape direction was toward the flame giant, but he suddenly changed direction. "Baby, it's your show time." The snake crashed into the giant due to inertia, and the giant swung its little fist and hit the python. Thus, the human-snake battle began. For some reason, they were both so angry that they wouldn't be satisfied until they destroyed each other. Lim Dae-in hid behind cover, thinking, indeed, the saying when the snipe and clam fight, the fisherman benefits is correct. The human-snake battle was like ancient gods fighting, shaking heaven and earth. Finally, the python was torn in half by the giant, and Lim Dae-in already held the ice dragon's fang in his hand. He leaped toward the giant. As long as he could stab the fang into the giant's heart, he could cool down the giant and then smash it with a hammer. But the giant's big hand reached for Lim Dae-in. He thought, oh no, that stinking snake was so weak that the giant's condition wasn't worn down at all. The giant slapped the ground. In his mind, swatting an ant was nothing more than this. But when he lifted his hand, he was confused. Where's the person? Did I smash him to bits? No, something felt off about the impact. But then a young girl's laughter came from beside him. Uncle, if I hadn't saved you, you would have gone to see God. What are you doing here? Of course I'm here to blast this big guy to smithereens, to earn tons of money for fried chicken. Big guy, I'll burn you to death. Please tell me I didn't hear wrong. She actually wants to use fire to burn this lava giant. It seems the creator is also foolish, actually letting such brainless creatures like Superman exist in this world. Just so happened, the giant was a bit hungry, so he swallowed Lily's flames into his mouth. The giant mocked in his heart. Did she run all this way just to deliver flame takeout to me, swallowing fire? Seems like I can do that too. The giant was suddenly shocked. Something seems wrong with this situation. Damn, she can actually absorb fire, and what's more terrifying is that I can't out-absorb her. So the giant realized he was no match for Lily and turned to run. He was extinguished and felt so cold all over. He wanted a warm embrace. He was going to die and hoped there were no superhumans in heaven. Uncle, flames taste as good as fried chicken. Lim Dae-in thought, damn, she's showing off her talent again. This nationwide catastrophe finally ended. Lim Dae-in and Lily, as one of the main contributors, could finally rest. While other members of Lim Dae-in's team were all helping civilians with post-disaster reconstruction, this battle had destroyed quite a few buildings into ruins. All guilds and superhumans across the nation, along with the military, police, and even all adult men, participated in the battle. After the battle, Lim Dae-in's skin became smooth and lustrous, full of collagen. Bak Young-hui asked him where he got his beauty treatment and how much it cost. She was willing to pay any amount. Lim Dae-in grinned without a single crow's foot. He touched his face like condensed cream and said, that beauty salon went out of business and closed down. He couldn't tell Bak Young-hui that he chose the flame giant's teleportation gate, actually to kill the giant and absorb his soul stone, then become a devastatingly handsome man and retire after 3 years to help millions of beautiful women escape poverty. But his current persona was that of a righteous superhuman. He needed to show compassion for the world. So he put on a serious face and asked for the healing potion documents. The healing potion was made from the wine of life, and the wine of life was something he had dug up as treasure. An endless healing wine that never ran out. Currently supplied exclusively nationwide by White House Guild. Lim Dae-in looked at the numbers. Due to the existence of healing potions, the death toll from this disaster was actually 90% lower than the death toll from the previous future. After reading the report, he asked Baek Younghwae, although it's summer, do you have any way to get Santa Claus equipment? That night, at the cemetery square on the city's mountaintop, people stood solemnly. President Kim Soo-ho brought all the first-generation awakened superhumans to commemorate the deceased. Although humanity achieved great victory in this catastrophe, the hundreds of heroic spirits lying here today all sacrificed their lives fighting monsters. Not one of them thought about running away before they died, because they knew that behind them were their country and people, their beloved families. A little girl innocently asked her mother, "Mom, didn't you say we came to see Dad? But where is Dad?" And the mother hugged the little girl tightly and cried, "Mom, don't cry. Didn't you always tell me that Santa Claus won't give presents to children who cry?" Just then, Kim Soo-ho looked up and saw a figure flying across the sky. That red vehicle in the air was clearly Santa Claus's sleigh from fairy tales. "Mom, Santa Claus really came!" Kim Soo-ho didn't believe in fairy tales. He was the strongest superhuman and president of this country. At this moment, he instinctively protected all citizens behind him. The next moment, everyone saw Santa's sleigh spin once in the air, and brilliant flames turned into fireworks in the sky. Although the dead have passed away, as long as they bloomed like fireworks once in their lives, they will live forever in the hearts of the living. After the fireworks scattered, the musical Noonan's elves sprinkled Christmas carols over the square. They were eternally optimistic elves. Even after their entire tribe traveled through time and space to Earth, and all but 3 Noonans had died, they still wanted to dance and sing happily. They hoped that children in this world could also plant joy and song in their hearts, so that even when walking through the night, there would still be stubborn fluorescent light in their hearts. A secretary behind asked, "Mr. President, should we issue an attack order?" Kim Soo-ho looked at the sky with gentle eyes and said, "No need. Let's just pretend the real Santa Claus came." Having done everything, Lim Dae-in finished work. Lily had never been as happy as today. Baek Younghwae asked him, "Is it worth going to such great lengths?" But she wasn't asking about this Christmas performance, but rather about Lim Dae-in instructing her to anonymously send aid money to all the deceased families on this Christmas night. Lim Dae-in knew that the heroes who died in battle this time were all the pillars of their families. Although the authorities would also provide subsidies, he knew that was just a drop in the bucket. He said, "I make decent money selling healing potions, so I can afford to help them out a bit more." Baek Younghwae's eyes rippled with autumn waves. "I already like you so much, and with you doing this, I'm really afraid I'll like you even more." Lim Dae-in hurriedly chose a path to escape, defeated by her sincere confession. At dinner, looking at Lily, who was carelessly chewing with a big mouth, he thought, she traveled from Gaia continent to Earth, but never mentioned her family. So he asked Lily, "Don't you miss your family?" Lily rarely stopped eating and drinking, seeming to fall into painful memories. "I want to see them, but..." Lim Dae-in slapped her on the head. "If you want to see them, go to Gaia continent. I'll go with you. I need to get some things from there anyway." Lily woke up from her nightmare. So it was a dream. But why would she still dream of that terrifying guy? "Uncle, are you asleep?" Lily didn't dare to sleep alone anymore. "Actually, I'm afraid to go back, but I must go back. I want to see Mom, and I promised Wendy." Lim Dae-in gently patted the trembling Lily. "With Uncle here, what are you afraid of?" It turned out that Lily had once been sold by her mother. That night, her mother unusually hugged her tightly, constantly saying, "Mom is sorry to you." But she sensibly said, "Mom." Lily knew the family was very poor, but with Mom by her side, Lily was content. Mom hugged her even tighter and stopped talking. The next day, she learned that Mom wouldn't be by her side anymore. Mom was going to sell her to a wealthy family to be a servant. Before leaving, Mom hugged her even tighter. Lily forced back her tears and smiled to comfort her. "Mom, don't cry. That carriage took her away from home forever." The carriage was already packed with children. It seemed the family she was going to was really very wealthy, actually needing so many servants. At this time, Lily heard someone greeting her. She said her name was Wendy, curled up in a ball saying she was a bit cold. Lily let her come closer. Wendy said, "Your body is so warm and comfortable." But she felt Wendy's body was cool and also comfortable. At this moment, no one thought that cold and warmth were actually their respective divine talents. Finally, they were driven off the carriage in a wilderness. A child asked, "Didn't you say you'd take us to the city?" But what responded to them was a whip. The atmosphere began to feel wrong. That masked man said viciously, "If you don't want to get beaten, just follow obediently and don't talk." Later, they were all locked in cages. Gradually, the other children seemed to disappear, leaving only Lily and Wendy. After that, every day, Lily would be tied up and taken to a bizarre laboratory. Every day, adults would either transplant fire spirit essence into her or flesh and blood from other creatures. The pain made Lily unable to tell whether she was alive or already dead. She also understood that the other children had probably already died in these experiments. The adult said, "This little girl has quite a strong constitution. She still hasn't shown rejection reactions. Wonder if she can become a real monster." At some point, a bizarre sigil appeared on Lily's stomach, and she also began to get hungry more easily. Wendy started sharing her bread with Lily, but Lily was also afraid Wendy would go hungry. But Wendy insisted, "If you don't eat, I'll throw the bread away." Like this, the two persisted for a week. Despite eating Wendy's food, Lily would still be hungry, and Wendy was also going hungry like her. Finally, one day, Wendy opened her hands, and a perfectly shaped ice crystal appeared inside. She said, "Maybe the hunger awakened some ability in me." and Lily saw that Wendy's hair had actually turned silver white. "Lily, I have different powers now. Let's escape. Good, let's escape." But they were caught red-handed by the masked man. Wendy casually waved and shot countless ice crystals from her hand. But the masked man's body unfolded a green protective shield that blocked all the ice crystals. The masked man laughed maniacally. "Good, good, good. You can actually awaken on your own. I'm going to turn you into our puppet to help me achieve great things." Wendy couldn't break free from the masked man's grip, but she shouted at Lily. "Lily, let's never go back to that cage. Even if only you can escape, you must desperately get out." Then Wendy got fierce. The surrounding air was rapidly cooling, about to become an extremely cold ice kingdom. At the critical moment, flames suddenly erupted around Lily. Her hair began changing from yellow to red. She had also awakened abilities similar to Wendy's. But Wendy's shout broke Lily's daze. "Lily, run! Run fast! Don't look back!" Lily finally ran. Behind her, Wendy's battle tugged at Lily's heart, and Wendy built solid ice walls for her to block the pursuers. Fortunately, a spatial teleportation gate suddenly appeared in front of her, and Lily thus came to Earth. Back to the present, sleeping Lily murmured, "Wendy, I'm sorry. I will definitely go back and rescue you." Lim Dae-in stayed by sleeping Lily's side, murmuring softly, "That bastard wore a goblin mask, right?" "Lim Dae-in, you're crazy. We just went through a catastrophe and you want to take a month off. Don't you know how busy the guild is? You must approve this leave." "Not a chance." "Mr. Bake, are you forcing me to use my trump card?" Then Lim Dae-in asked Bake Younghui, "How much was this month's recovery potion income?" Then he continued, "I heard potion orders have surged and supply can't meet demand. Seems I don't need to let White House Guild have exclusive supply." "You brat? What did you say?" "Mr. Bake, where's your conscience? Every mission I bring back more spoils of war than all other teams combined. How much money has White House Guild made from just one recovery potion? Tell me. At worst, I won't stay at White House Guild. At worst, I'll let other guilds distribute the potions." Bake Changsu's veins bulged with anger. "Lim Dae-in, you... Anyway, I've made quite a bit of money selling potions. I can afford the penalty for leaving White House Guild." "Stop right there. I'll let you take leave. Okay? Why does family have to say such heartless things? Mr. Bake, you truly have great righteousness and a big heart. You brat. But what are you going to do during your month off?" "I'm going to find 2 people. I'll bring one of them back. But the other person, I'm going to kill him." Subsequently, Lim Dae-in and Lily immediately began studying route maps of Gaia continent. At this time, socially anxious superhuman Jiang Yongshin walked in bashfully, accompanied by his mother. He finally mustered courage to say, "Uncle, I also want to go with Lily. Lily, listen to me. Although my strength is weaker than yours, as long as it's Lily's business, I want to accompany you. To help." Lily smiled happily and agreed to his request. To be able to protect Lily going to Gaia continent, Lim Dae-in decided to find a fierce beast to improve his strength a bit. Bake Changsu had been waiting impatiently and showed off his muscular body saying, "Young man, quick, quick, quick!" Lim Dae-in reluctantly drew his sword. There was no choice. There were more strong people on Gaia continent than on Earth, for higher survival rates, and to test his current strength, he wanted to spar with Earth's strongest person. He even had an illusion that his current self might not be much different from Earth's strongest. Bake Changsu stopped talking nonsense and directly unleashed his aura, shouting, "Come at me!" Seeing his aura, Lim Dae-in was convinced. Wasn't he just asking for abuse? "Mr. Bake, can I still change my mind?" But Bake Changsu had already pounced. 3 days later, "Uncle, who did this to you? Who beat you into a quail? I'm going to burn him to death. Stop talking nonsense and pack up quickly." Lim Dae-in recalled the experience of these 3 days. His physical strength and power had indeed improved considerably, but that bird Bake Changsu was indeed a monster. He drank a bottle of healing potion and decided never to improve his strength through getting beaten up temporarily again. Finally, it was time to depart. Lim Dae-in instructed Wang Guho, "While I'm gone, you'll serve as the team's temporary captain. If I find you didn't do well when I return, I'll beat you with Bake Changsu's loving iron fist." Wang Guho was someone Lim Dae-in had personally cultivated, destined to become the nation's best tank superhuman. Just a bit dim-witted, but absolutely loyal to the team. "Big brother, I'll assist." Seeing this, Lim Dae-in thought stable, but Bake Younghui was acting up again. Her cheeks flushed and lips pouted. "What are you doing? Do you have a fever?" Bake Younghui got angry and said, "You're going on a long journey. You should understand etiquette and give a farewell kiss." But Lim Dae-in's heart was bitter. How could he dare? Only he knew that Bake Changsu was Bake Younghui's real father. Bake Changsu at this moment just wanted to hammer him 10 more times. Finally, Lim Dae-in and Lily said goodbye to everyone and set off. Bake Changsu could see his daughter's thoughts, knowing she was worried about that bastard Lim Dae-in's safety in the other world. "Don't worry, daughter. He's stronger than you imagine. Yesterday, he even had a move that I almost couldn't handle. When that kid comes back, I'm going to fight him again." At this time, Lim Dae-in suddenly sneezed, then his hair stood on end. Just then, Jiang Yongshin also arrived at the meeting point. He said, "I modified the mechanical guardian again." As he spoke, he pressed the program button. The mechanical guardian made 2 clicking sounds and directly transformed into a mechanical carriage. Lily exclaimed, "So cool!" Hearing Lily praise him, Jiang Yongshin's face turned red like a monkey's bottom. The teleportation gate to Gaia continent was normally in a closed state, but Lim Dae-in had a way. He took out soul stones to power the teleportation gate. Probably only he on Earth could be so extravagant. Finally, that dazzling gate opened. Lim Dae-in turned around and said, "Get in the car." The first carriage from Earth in history entered Gaia continent. At this time, somewhere in a town on Gaia continent, everything was in ruins and on fire. Someone was committing violence in the city, and they seemed to be looking for someone. The bully tied the mayor to a wooden stake and said, "Either you give up the person, or your son and grandson die together." Not far away, a cloaked person was observing all this. Seeing the village chief's predicament, she thought, "I have to act. I can't let benefactor village chief sacrifice any more for me." And she was actually a woman disguised as a man. Then she reached out to draw her sword. "You don't need to look anymore, I'm right here." Just then, a stunning flash crossed the sky. The momentum of that giant object's landing almost pierced through the ground. Lim Dae-in walked out of the just-landed carriage and said, "Well now, this place is livelier than I imagined. I can see defiance written on your faces. Want to have a fight with me?" The female knight disguised as a man in the crowd immediately knelt down. Because she saw the demonic aura on the man and heard the incomprehensible earth language, she thought it was magic incantations. She said, "Great magician, please save us. If you're willing to help, I'll pay you a generous reward." Lim Dae-in saw the coin pouch and smiled, his hand involuntarily moving toward the pouch, saying in Gaia continent language, "I do righteous deeds not for money." But the female knight continued shouting, "10 times! If you eliminate those bandits, I'll pay 10 times the amount." At this time, a red-haired leader among the bandits said, "What are you all standing around for? Go call all our companions." Then he said to Lim Dae-in, "Hey you, magician over there, this is none of your business, get out of here quickly." But Lim Dae-in was seriously counting money, saying, "I just counted 35 gold coins here total. You said you can pay 10 times, right?" Exactly. As long as you can eliminate the bandits. How about this? I'm magnanimous, I won't ask for 10 times. You just need to pay me 700 coins and we're okay." "You're truly a great person." "Huh? Wait, 700 coins is 20 times. If you don't want to, forget it." I want to. I'm willing." The red-haired leader finally understood they were discussing the reward for killing him, so he shouted, "Kill them quickly! Kill them!" But Lim Dae-in opened a magic protective shield, and all spells and weapons were completely blocked. Bored, he even opened the cyber carriage door. Lily bounced out cheerfully. Lim Dae-in said, "Lily, put away all the fire." So Lily spread her palms, and all the fire set by bandits within 10 miles flew into her hands. "Uncle, the fire these people set doesn't taste good." The red-haired leader went crazy, shouting to release the battle ogre. So a guy that looked like a giant goblin was released. Lim Dae-in said, "Youngshin, this big guy is yours." So Jang Youngshin jumped onto the cyber carriage's horse body. The female knight finally showed shock. That horse couldn't be? Then the carriage transformed into the mechanical guardian's battle form. Her jaw dropped in amazement because she recognized this was actually the legendary golem of Gaia continent. So Jang Youngshin piloted the golem and fought hard, actually planting the battle ogre into the soil. At the same time, a ghostly figure instantly killed a bandit. Then that figure moved like a golden dragon, like a swimming snake. That figure was actually Lim Dae-in with his sword drawn. But suddenly, the red-haired leader held the village chief hostage, saying, "Everyone stop, or I'll use this wooden stick to cut the village chief's throat." The female knight said to Lim Dae-in, "The village chief is a benefactor who must be saved." Lim Dae-in said, "People on your planet seem to have no brains. Do you also think that red hair can cut throats with a wooden stick?" Red hair said, "To save the village chief, get me a horse, have that magician throw away his weapons, then set fire to burn down the whole village. And also," but Lim Dae-in had already flashed behind red hair, "and also your sister." In the end, red hair died peacefully. Lim Dae-in said, "Hope you eat more walnuts to supplement your brain in your next life." Then he saw there was a wanted poster in red hair's chest. But with so many people watching, Lim Dae-in first stuffed the wanted poster into his pocket. That night, the village chief held a banquet to thank Lim Dae-in's group. The female knight also invited herself, saying she wanted to dine with the respected magician. She also brought 2 people to sit together, saying, "The white-haired man on the right is my guard knight, the woman on the left is my wife." Lim Dae-in said it was fine, please sit, while thinking, do people on Gaia continent all have no brains? Her female disguise was already seen through by me, and she's still lying about having a wife. He glanced at Lily and Jang Youngshin, wanting them to be more alert, but, so he thought, forget it, you two go ahead and fall in love. Only I, this old father, have to worry more. But those 3 people seem to have a grudge against food. Not eating a bite, 6 eyes staring at Lim Dae-in as if they wanted to see through his face. Finally, the village chief asked, "Benefactor, where are you planning to go next?" Lim Dae-in said, "I'm going to a small village in the Tairu kingdom to find someone." The fake wife's eyes showed a different light, glancing at the fake husband. The fake husband immediately said, "You're crossing the border? What a coincidence. We're also going to Tairu kingdom. What fate? How about you escort us across the border?" And the guard who hadn't spoken all along became arrogant. Being able to escort us is an honor. We can give you countless gold coins. Lim Dae-in was a bit angry, evasive and dishonest, speaking condescendingly. "You just think you're nobility, don't you?" Then he slammed the wanted poster on the table. "I refuse your request. You need to learn honesty and humility first, then think about how to communicate with me." And the portrait on that wanted poster was exactly the fake wife, a court magician named Hawking Irene. Anyone who captured her and brought her back could receive enough bounty money to last 10 lifetimes.